What's good? What's good, guys? I want to talk to you about have you guys ever been at a job that you it's almost like a prison? Like it's that bad. You know, you go to work, you hate the people you work with, you hate the job, you hate every aspect, and you're depressed on your days off just thinking about going into the job. That's how I was when I was working for this certain uh, trucking company where we had to do touch freight, run down ramps, and deliver to multiple types of fast food chains, fast food restaurants, and things like that. And it was hell. It was back-breaking work. You know, pays well, pays great. So that's why a lot of guys stick through it and stuff like that. So it was a nightmare. And you ever been at a job so bad that when you look back at the job, you're like, man, like it's almost like you got out of a prison bed, like you just finished doing time. You look back like, oh, free the homies, man. I don't know how you still going through it. Like, I hope they get out, type. You know, even though a few guys loved it, and I understand why a few guys stuck it out because it made it makes a lot of money. You make decent money there at that trucking job. You know, touch freight. I think all of them do. You know, and the earning potential is very high at those jobs because you can work endlessly. You know, it's always work to do. So I don't see that. I don't see a lot of them guys leaving because they built a great life off that. And I didn't pay for my wedding and home and everything from that job because it was very good financially. But the mental and physical stress that I was going through was just insane. So I had to leave that job. I had to. But this is the thing. I didn't just quit. A lot of guys, as soon as they walk through the doors, we used to do team driving. A lot of guys used to walk, as soon as they walk through the door, as soon as I meet them, they're like, I ain't gonna be here for long. And they're like, I'm not gonna be here for long. And I was one of those guys too. Out the gate, I'm like, I ain't gonna be here for long. And I was there for damn near 2 years. Why? Because the money was good, and I just could not, you know, just leave that job so quickly without making sure I find something that at least make the even just a little bit less money or more or the same. I couldn't I just could not just leave that job and get the same earning potential that somewhere else that I had there. So I had to really spend my time doing what I had to do. Like the thing was, because I was new to the industry, I had to put my time in. I had to suffer it out. I needed 2 years under my belt of doing this particular job to qualify for the job that I wanted. And that took a lot of discipline to do because I just want to, F it. It been days I'm like, you know what, I'm not going back. I'm just not going back. Fuck it, I'm not going back. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go. My wife was telling me, just babe, this is not uh playing well on your mental. Like, if you hate it that much, just quit. And I'm like, I just can't do that. Trying to provide a life here, I can't just do that. So I held it down. I'm proud of myself, but I was holding on by a thread. Even within my last 2 weeks, I gave a 2 weeks notice. Even then, I'm just like, I'm not even sure if I can make it through these last 2 weeks. This is how bad this is to me. It was a very terrible experience. I'm so happy I left. And I just, I know a lot of other people are going through the same thing in other industries, in other types of job, in trucking, whatever you do. I know you're going through the same type of stuff because people talk about it all the time, you know, a wage slavery job or something that they just can't stand doing, or, they're trying to stick it out just like I did. And some people just say F it and quit. I've seen a lot of people just do that. And I can't be mad at people that do that because it is tough being somewhere you hate. You just hate the culture of the job, the people at the job, the job itself, the physical and mental stress it puts on you, you know. And it's all about perspective because I didn't seen guys who came from like probably terrible situations and get that job and just be happy. I mean, they're very happy they got their job. They're making a lot of money. You know, they buying new cars and they got their home. They're taking care of their family. You know, but I said this is no way for me to live. You know, I'm out for way too long. The hours were ridiculous. The the energy at the job was not right. The the pay was good, but not compared to what you're doing. You're putting yourself through. If that makes sense, because I realized that people are making this type of money. You know, not just from home. I'm just on even outside doing the same, doing trucking or whatever they doing, making the same type of money in half the time and less physical labor inside the same type of industry. You know, so I'm just like, I don't have to be doing this. Like this is not, this is not feasible for me to be doing for long periods of time. But I did it. I got through it. I got into a job where I can just, drive, do minimum physical labor, you know, and I'm happy that I definitely cut my time in half. You know, I was barely home, and now I'm home. You know, I get in my bed every night, and I'm happy about that. You know, I come back home in a shorter amount of time and make around the same type of money, so it's all good. But that experience was insane. So just know you should hold it down at your job as long as you can until you find another one. I really believe in that. Is are you always gonna be able to do that? No, because I know some people are going through real rough situations where you go to your job is literally like hell. I know the feeling. I felt like I was literally burning in hell at this job. That's how bad it was. And people were like, "Oh, I know you like your new job," and I try to save face and just be like, "Yeah, it's cool." No, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. But I understood that hey, I have to do what I gotta do. Especially in the early stages when I first got the job, I was, saving up for all types of things and trying to get a lot of things done, paying off debt, saving up for my wedding and everything. So I had a lot of pressure on me. So when my wife at that time, was my fiance telling me, hey, if it's too much, just quit. No, I already made promises. I already like we already had a plan put together. So I'm not gonna just opt out because I hate the job because I can do it. I can do it. It's just very taxing on my mental and physical, but I can do it. And I'm gonna muscle through it as much as I can. You know. So once I got the wedding done and things started lining up, I said, you know what, I'm going to keep putting in applications and try to get a job that I can you know do in less time and less physical stress. And I did that. It took a while but I was turning down jobs, and I feel like I was trying to find the perfect job, but I really, yeah, I kind of was. I was trying to find the perfect job, and that don't exist. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna settle. I'm not gonna go leave this demon to another demon. Like I'm not gonna just go for anything. Yeah, I have to be home every day. I have to cut my time in half. I try to really work it out the best way. And I found that option. And it's been great. It's been great so far. But I look back like, damn, that job was hell. And I look back like, I don't even know. It's almost like a bad dream that lasted damn near 2 years though. So it's like free the homies. Damn, it's terrible there. From my point of view, there was no way to live. So I respect a lot of people like, hey, I'm just quitting this and trying something new. I'm just quitting this job. I'm trying something new. Or they work on their own business and they just say F it, and they just leap out there. They'll just drop the job and just leap out there to their own business. I respect people like that because that's a scary thing to do. It's a scary. I couldn't do it. I try to help. I basically just help my wife with her side business, but I didn't have nothing set up my own. I knew I had to stick through this trucking thing for a second, and I didn't want to just leave and find a regular job to support myself because that wasn't feasible. So I had to held it down. I had to get the credentials to move on to a better job for me before I just quit. So a lot of guys are just like, F it, I'm leaving. I seen a lot of guys just say, F it, I'm leaving. I can't take this. I'm not putting up with this, which I understand. I respect that. But I think if you got things lined up and you're trying to keep a promise to your significant other and things like that, hold it down as long as you can and keep pushing for the situation, the job, the situation, whatever you want, push for that and don't give up because you don't want to be in a worse predicament. I was fortunate to have a job to make that type of money. I had to look at some of the positive things. I got the experience I needed. I learned the skills there at that job. The job taught me a lot about the industry. So that it did a lot for me. Paid for my wedding, home, everything. So I got a lot done with that job. So I appreciate them hiring me and giving me a chance. And I left on a good notice, but man, it was a very terrible experience at that job. It was a very terrible experience, but I held it down. And you should hold it down at your job if you can. If you can physically and mentally get through each day and deal with the people at your job. I don't know everybody's exact struggle, but I know I've been to a few jobs where it's hard to deal with people. It's hard to deal with the work when things are just a complete mess. But hey, is it paying your bills? Is it keeping you afloat right now? Are you stacking up your bread from that job right now? Hey, do what you got to do until you find something else. But make sure you're spending your time off work, working on something else, and working on your new situation before you just drop everything. Because I seen guys leave and come back. I seen guys leave and come back with their tails tucked, like give me another chance. I said I'm not trying to really be that guy. I really have no plans of ever going back there. I left on a good term, so I had the option to go back there, but no. But hey, if things are bad enough, I have that option, and I want you guys to have that option too, because you never know. The way things are going right now it's looking bad. But I'm trying to stay positive. It's looking bad. I don't have all the answers, but it's looking bad out there. But try to stick through to your job as long as you can because it is rough out there. But keep looking for the other opportunity on your days off or when you get home from work. Do what you got to do to get out of the situation because you don't have a damn mental breakdown at a job or have a complete spaz out on somebody or something like that, or get crazy on somebody because you just like, what, F it, I don't give a F no more. Fuck it. You know what I mean? So that's all I want to talk about. That job was hell. I'm glad I got out of it. Everybody should just, if you're dealing with a job that's complete, feel like you're burning in hell when you're there, like this is the most terrible experience you can have. Do what you gotta do to get out of it. There is a way. Thank you. It's the Rough Draft. Peace.